Who is the best 5-star DPS? Let's find out. I don't think anyone, but Diluc would be a better candidate to start with. Once the best DPS in the game that everyone wanted, but now not so much. He has been power crept to the ground since the release of Genshin Impact. Because of the game's ever-growing and evolving nature, it was inevitable in the end. I would rate Diluc B+. Talking about power creep, Keqing was in the same boat as Diluc until 3.0, where Electro finally met Dendro and formed one of the strongest elemental reactions aggravate. Before Dendro, I would rate Keqing the same as Diluc or even maybe lower, but right now I think she is A+. Even though Klee is a limited banner character, she doesn't feel as good as her peers. Her breast artifact set is one of the most pain in the ass sets to farm for even with artifact stompbox. Another little downside is that Hoyo is yet to give her a signature 5-star weapon. At the moment, I think she is B tier. Next up is the physical queen, Eula. In an elemental reaction driven game, Eula has been performing outstanding regardless of the time she came out. When it comes to doing big, massive and insane damage, Eula is one of the characters that comes to mind. For me, Eula is still S tier. Talking about big, massive and insane damage output, we cannot forget about Xiao. She kind of has the same problem as Klee when it comes to the artifact set, but once properly built, she hits like an absolute truck, reaching easily over 80,000 damage with her charge attacks and over 200,000 damage with her burst. Being powerful aside, she also is a very cheerful character considering her line of work. Well, most pyro characters are quite cheerful, other than Diluc. And I think she is one of the GOATs in the game, hence why I rate her S tier. Did someone say GOAT? Our Coco GOAT Ganyu has a very straightforward playstyle, which can get a bit boring after a while. Even though boring, she still does amazing damage numbers with her charge attack. Both her reverse melt and freeze comps are easy to play and build around since the artifact sets are quite forgiving, especially the 4-star Blizzard Strayer set. When you specifically need a bow character in your party, Ganyu is a no-brainer, and that's why I rate her S tier. Next up is the newest addition to the roster, Lyney. I'm not going to lie, I haven't played Lyney and don't have much idea about him, but from what I see from other people playing him, I think at the very least, he is A+ tier. Now, Yoimiya is one of my favorite bow users, because unlike most other bow users, she actually does use her bow vigorously. She's got a couple of different artifact set options and she can utilize Rust, which is a great bow for characters that love to deal damage with their normal attacks. Even though her Pyro infusion comes from her elemental skill, it works just like Huta, where you need to level up your normal attack to get the most benefits out of it. In my opinion, she is a solid S tier character. Finalizing Liyue characters with Xiao. One of the best things about Xiao is that he has very flexible artifact set options. You can just go for a double 2-piece attack percentage sets and it's almost as good as his best in slot artifact set Vermilion Gear After. One little downside is that there aren't really any good viable 4-star pole arms to fit a character like Xiao if you're completely a free-to-play player. And even if you're not a free-to-play player, his constellations are quite meh until C6, and getting C6 is a long way to go. Because of his flexible build path, I will rate Xiao A+. Moving on to Childe, one of the rerun characters at the moment of recording this video. I always like one thing about Childe, which is being able to change his stats. Meaning that even though he's a bow user, he can also turn into a melee fighter, which is pretty cool in my opinion. Being a Hydro character, he has access to powerful elemental reactions such as Vaporize, Bloom, and Hyper Bloom. Even after all these years, I think he still is a solid A tier character. Now I think Ayato is kind of in the same boat as Childe when it comes to team comps. You can pretty much replace Childe with Ayato and your team comp will almost be the same in terms of character rotations. One thing Ayato has on Childe in my opinion is that he can utilize HP, meaning that if you got unlucky with some of your artifacts and have a bit of HP on them, then it's not the end of the world. For that reason, I will rate Ayato A+. Believe it or not, Itto is the last Geo character release. Geo hasn't been receiving any love at all recently. So much so that we didn't even get a single Geo character release during Sumeri, but thankfully my beloved Yoimiya will put an end to that. Oh, Yoimiya. Right. Itto, the one and only. Bunga Bunga, big damage, A+. Next up is Wanderer, the guy everyone thought that would be an Electro character but actually is an Anemo character. Like I mentioned in my Anemo tier list video, Hoyo did Wanderer dirty. They could have done so much better with all the flying or hovering ability of his in my opinion. However, it is a unique ability, and he can also gain buffs based on the element types he swirls, speed attack buff, and so on. So, in my opinion, that guy is A tier. Let's finalize Inazuma characters with Raiden Shogun for now. Up until Sumeru's release, Raiden Shogun was almost always played as an on-field main DPS unit with high energy cost sub DPS characters that can deal damage off field and help her deal more damage, while she helps them regenerate a lot of energy back for their bursts. Even though her role kind of shifted into being an off-field Electro applier for Dendro reactions, I think she is still one of the best DPS characters out there, and for that reason she is S tier. Oh, Dehya. I'm still hoping that one day she will be viable with that one magical character release to help her. But now she is in a very bad spot. D tier, at least it matches her initials. When it comes to Tighnari though, he is actually pretty good. Usually played with characters like Fischl and Yoimiya for quicken reaction. Since spread isn't viable with Fischl's A4 talent, he can be a good candidate to hold or piece deep memories, which is a must for Dendro reactions. For me, he is B+. One of my favorite things about Cyno is that he is obsessed with TCG. The guy is literally crazy about the entire thing. When it comes to gameplay and being powerful, he still is a great unit to have on your account. His best team comp usually contains Fischl or Yoimiya, just like Tighnari. Third slot is occupied by either Dendro Traveler, Klee or Nahida, but be sure to have enough energy recharge on your Traveler to use their burst of cooldown. Fourth slot is a flex between a Shielder or an Anemo unit like Sucrose or Kazuha to buff Cyno's damage up further. And for me, Cyno is S tier. Next up is Dendro Keqing. Alhaitham. Jokes aside, they have a very similar playstyle. One of them utilizes Aggravate and one of them Spread. And Spread has a bigger damage multiplier than Aggravate, just like I mentioned in my previous video. I'll leave a card to that video on top right. Unlike Keqing though, Alhaitham's skills directly benefit from EM, which makes building EM more important than just having it for the reaction damage. Solid S tier character, you can't go wrong with him. And last but not least, Ayaka. My beloved, my favorite, and the icon of my channel. I'll admit that I might be biased to think that Ayaka is the best 5-star DPS in the game, but keep in mind that this is my opinion. Opinions can be wrong or differ from one another, so if I don't think your favorite character isn't the best 5-star DPS, it really isn't the end of the world. Leave a comment about which character would you rate differently and who do you think is the best 5-star DPS. While you're at it, leave a like if you liked the video, dislike if you didn't, and subscribe if you're new. I am aiming to hit 500 subs by the end of September, so I would appreciate the support. Also, check out my other tier list videos. As always, thanks for watching, and see you guys.